Welcome back to Folk Solo Sports Show. Alright, let's talk about were the Steelers ever a bad team? Because everybody was making it seem like the Steelers are just the most terrible football team they ever seen in NFL history this season. I mean, they was doing the same thing last season, but it wasn't as bad as this season. Is there something? I mean, of course, there's something against the Steelers. I already went over that with y'all before. But excuse me, there has to be something sad about this. Like this got to be brought to somebody's attention, man. Come on, man. Like I'm about to go over this with y'all. Were Steelers a bad team, or do Steelers always just get the hardest schedules? I mean, that was already told to y'all, but this is how you know that it's played out and it's true. All right, the seven losses that the Pittsburgh Steelers got was to five of those teams are playoff teams. Five of those teams. All right. And people was saying that Mike Tomlin was going to have his first losing season this season, and it didn't happen with the hardest schedule in the NFL. And this is exactly why it's the hardest schedule in the NFL. First game, 1-0, Buffalo Bills, a team that's in the playoffs. We beat them. Second game, we lose to the Raiders, another playoff team. Bengals, we lose to them, another playoff team. The Green Bay Packers, we lose to them, another playoff team. The number one team in the NFC. The Broncos just missed the playoffs, was in that AFC West. In the AFC West, it's not like they were like the Houston Texans. The Broncos weren't like the Houston Texans. They were right there with the Raiders and the Chargers. Now the Chiefs was a little higher above them, a lot higher above them, but they were right there with the Raiders and the Chargers. Two more games, that division could have looked different. And somehow, possibly, maybe that whole division end up going to the playoffs. All right, so the Broncos, we beat them. The Seahawks, now, didn't go to the playoffs, but still overall a good organization and team. All right. The Browns just missed the playoffs, where it was in the hunt and at one point the AFC North. I believe, yeah, leaded the AFC North and was right there, just like the Broncos. And the AFC North was right there, just like the Broncos. The games were not far apart. The Chicago Bears, we beat them. They weren't really good. We shouldn't have tied with the Detroit Lions. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for the Steelers had time with the Detroit Lions. I can't make no excuse for that. We should have beat that team. The Chargers, a playoff team who just missed the playoffs because the Raiders didn't tie the game with them. They were about to go just a tie away from going to the playoffs. Not even a win, a tie away. I mean, a win, I guess, is easier to get than a tie in most cases. But even still, all right, just missed the playoffs. Literally, just one game away from the playoffs. The Bengals again. The Ravens, we beat them. The Vikings, that's the only team that beat us. The Vikings is the only team out of our 7 losses that wasn't a playoff team. And they still came back throughout the season and did pretty well and was in the hunt for a little while. No team that beat us or isn't in the playoffs or wasn't in the hunt. And the Vikings were in the hunt, okay? The Tennessee Titans, the number one team in the AFC who gets the bye week. And we beat this team. And people's trying to say that the Steelers are a terrible team. All right. The Chiefs, 3-time AFC champions. Three AFC championships in a row, 2 straight Super Bowls in a row. Okay. And we lose to them. The Browns beat them again. The Ravens beat them again. All right. Only took losses to playoff teams besides one team. And the teams that we lost to or in the hunt or was one game. I'm sorry, I skipped over the Colts too. Wait a minute. Oh, you know what? Sorry about that. Hey, I was thinking of last season. Last season, I think that was last season when we made that comeback on the Colts. I was thinking it was this season when we made that comeback on the Colts. So sorry about that. I said that in my last video. That was last season when we made that good comeback on the Colts. I added them in there when I said, why do we have to depend on the Jaguars beating the Colts for us to get into the playoffs? And they're the worst team in the NFL, and we already beat the Colts and the Titans. But that was last season. So, of course, but even still, all right, we beat all these teams, man, that are in the playoffs. Five teams. We beat the Titans that's in the playoffs. And we beat all these other teams that was in the hunt the whole time. Only like two of these teams. How many? Let's count them up. Let's count them up. Only two of these teams, man. Only like two of these teams didn't make it to the playoffs. Even that we beat. How many? Well, not the even that we beat, but where they were right there. They were right there. How many teams wasn't right there? Just the Seahawks won. The Chicago Bears too. I think even the Chicago Bears this season was in the hunt for a little while. That's how tough this season was getting wins and losses. Okay, that's how tough this season was. Yeah, literally, you could just say the Seahawks, the Bears, the Seahawks and the Bears. Those are the only two teams that weren't really competing for a playoff spot. But even if you look back, they were in the hunt for a little while. So the Steelers were never a bad team like that. In the NFL, or not the NFL, people, other sports broadcasters was trying to tell you, my Steelers fans, we were just getting we're getting the hardest teams to beat with a young football team. All right, a young football team that is far gone from what the Steelers are used to. Ben Roethlisberger, the only Steeler lasting from Super Bowl 45, when the Steelers actually uh, knew what it meant to be a Steeler and didn't make goofy plays like Chase Claypool and with only 30 something seconds left doing a celebration for the first down. We are far from those Pittsburgh Steelers who went to three straight Super Bowls in a span of 5 years, 5, 6 years. We're far from those Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, so the Steelers weren't a bad team last year and weren't a bad team this year. We're getting lied to. We're getting lied to. Mike Tomlin, still no losing season. Ben Roethlisberger, still no losing season. But somehow everybody wants him to retire. I need y'all to stop it. Okay? I need y'all to stop it. This is why Mean Joe Green said, if you think Ben should be done after this year, you don't know football. You don't know football if you think the Steelers are a bad team. You don't know football if you think that Ben Roethlisberger should retire and Mike Tomlin shouldn't be the head coach, because it's just not true. I don't know why this image is pushed on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, I do, because I mean, I'm being humble because, but the Steelers are the best. They bring the most attention. So when they're not looking, even though you hear it every day, people always say the Steelers have never been that team that just dominates every team. It's always been rough. You hear Keyshawn Johnson say that all the time, and it's the truth. So the Steelers always look like that they're problematic, but always find a way to get it done. This isn't a bad football team. These guys are young and they're finally they're not all the way good, but you give these offensive linemen, you give them another half a season, maybe even this playoff run coming up, they are going to be legit. And the more legit they get, the more legit Big Ben will get. And you'll see that he is not in his last season. He does not need to retire this season. If his offensive line, like it looks like they've been doing, keeps getting better, because they are all young, okay? They're all young men. So I just needed to put this out for all my Steelers fans across the globe. The Steelers aren't a bad football team, and there is hope to believe in them against the Kansas City Chiefs coming up this Sunday, man. So let me know what y'all think. This is Folk Solo Sports Show. Like, subscribe, get in the comment section. I'll get back with y'all. Peace.